entertaining talking sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Before I get started on the video, I just wanted to say Happy New Year to each and every one of you guys. And I'm sure you guys can't wait to get done with 2020 like myself. It was a really tough year for a lot of us out there, and hopefully 2021 brings a lot more hope and a lot more good things for all of us. And I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you do for my channel. This year, there's been incredible growth, and there's no way this channel would be anywhere near where it is without you guys doing what you do for me. And that's watching my videos, hitting the thumbs up, subscribing, ringing the bell, and telling your friends about the channel and word of mouth, and it's helped it grow. And, I absolutely love what I do. I love talking about the New York Giants, and sometimes I'll mix in the Knicks, like tonight. If you guys want to come by, I'll be live streaming the Knicks game at about 7:30, but the community's grown, and I'm proud of what you guys have helped me build. So thank you guys for everything that you do. In this video, I'm going to pull up some quotes. I'm not going to pull them up on the screen. I'm just going to read them off the laptop, but there were a lot of quotes that came out today from Joe Judge talking about the team as a whole, specifically talking about the coaching staff, and he mentioned Dave by name, the general manager. In addition to that, Jason Garrett was asked about whether or not he expects to be back with the New York Giants, and you could definitely at least interpret it and argue that he was being a little standoffish in the way that he approached the question. And we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But I think it's entirely possible, even with some of the very complimentary things that Joe Judge said about the coaching staff and the GM by name, that we could see a change at that offensive coordinator position. And, of course, you could read into this the way that you want. And if you're a person that wants Gettleman gone at all costs, you're probably going to read into this that this is the coach speaking, and he's saying things that are politically correct. And you're not going to believe it till you see it. And we got 4 or 5 days. And I'm not giving you the answer here. I'm telling you my opinion based off of what Joe Judge said today. But I had the opinion before Joe Judge said it. I made a video 2 days ago. Gettleman, in my opinion, is going to be back unless he retires or takes, or steps down and takes a reduced role. But even if he does, I think they hire in-house. And I've given my reasoning as to why I think that is in my previous video. But I kind of wanted to go over what he had to say, Judge, today, and just hammer home the fact that I'm even more convinced now that Gettleman's going to stay on. If not, Abrams will be your GM. I don't expect an outsider at this point in time, and to me, it kind of makes sense. You want your GM and head coach to be on the same timeline. You don't want to force a GM on a quarterback going into his third year that's kind of struggled in his second, and a head coach who's coming in with a 5-11 or 6-10 record. I think that's the reasoning. And the fact that he probably thinks he works very well together with Dave Gettleman, like he said in the quotes today when pressed about it, with the media. But I'm going to jump into some of the quotes, and then I'll give my final opinion on all of it. This is what Judge had to say when asked about the coaching staff as a whole, and he hinted a little bit, with Gettleman in these quotes as well, and then I'll get into the exact quote where he mentions Dave by name. Here's the first quote. "I'd say the entire building, since I've been here, has had one vision going forward." And that's basically what Judge has tried to, do since he's gotten here. Instill a culture. We saw that from the start with the way that he handled the coaches, going to the combine, everybody together. You saw some out-of-the-box thinking, wouldn't mention the players by name. He was trying to instill his culture, and he was talking about how everybody's been on the same page, Judge told reporters. "I'm very pleased how we came out of last spring in free agency and the draft." And right there, before we even get into the Gettleman quotes, he's already saying, I was very happy with who Dave and myself brought in free agency and who we brought in the draft. "I think all of those guys we brought in have contributed to this team, have developed in time, and helped lay a foundation for this team." And the one thing that you got to give him credit for, man, Judge, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss, even going into this game week 17, is saying it's not about the playoffs. It's about growth. And that's the way he's took this season from the start. And I think that was the proper approach. I think he went in with a realistic vision, and he knew that this year was going to be a stepping stone to get this team in the direction that it needs to be gotten. Then he goes on to say, "We have to keep drafting well. We have to keep signing free agents that will build within not only our culture, but our scheme and versatility," which shouldn't surprise you. But I'd say the cooperation in both aspects. The building has been working together as one, and that is a very positive thing. And if Judge feels that way, and why, he's going above and beyond these quotes, I think he legitimately feels that way, and I'm not surprised at all in terms of the coaching staff, and it seemed like him and Dave had a pretty good relationship. Why would Judge look to break it up? Now, of course, Judge doesn't have full say. He's the head coach, but I do think Mara and Tish want to give Judge the best opportunity they feel to succeed. And if Judge does like Dave, I think Judge will have a lot of say into whether or not Dave Gettleman is back as the general manager, along with the coaching staff. Now, the coaching staff, I'm not surprised at all. They're all his guys outside of Jason Garrett. I'm going to get into some of the quotes of what he had to say. Of course, the other guy that had no connections to him, Mark Colombo, they got him out of here real quick, and they brought in a guy who has connections to Judge, Dave DeGuglielmo, to be the offensive line coach. Next quote I wanted to pull up for you guys was this, and this is when he talks specifically about Gettleman. I've enjoyed working with Dave the entire year, Judge said. We've done a lot of good things together. I really enjoyed the process of free agency and the draft. Obviously, we went through training camp, and there was a lot of logistical work we had to do in this particular spring and summer in terms of getting the setups ready for when the team came back. I think everyone is doing a good job right now in terms of understanding where we want to go and pushing it in the right direction. There's been some great coordination and communication with Dave and everyone in the personnel in terms of the kinds of players that fit into our system. So it is entirely possible that Dave Gettleman could step down. I mean, the guy's almost 70 years old, but and maybe it's coach talk. But based off of what Judge is saying here, based on what I already thought, I think Dave Gettleman, if he wants to come back, is going to come back. And possibly, maybe in a reduced role. Maybe they hire from within. But I think Dave will be back. And according to these quotes, it sounds like Judge really likes working with the guy. It sounds like they have a good relationship. And to me, that's the most important thing. A lot of people may say, oh, you're too pro Dave Gettleman. I'm pro Joe Judge, and I'm pro New York Giants, and I'm pro this rebuild. And if Judge likes working with Gettleman, I don't want to mess that up. Okay? I believe in Judge. I think he's a smart guy, and it's what's going to bring me to Garrett. Garrett's a guy I've stuck up for at least half the season. And going into the year, I said that when they brought in an offensive coordinator, it was my belief that it was a 2-year commitment at a bare minimum if the Giants were going to do things right, for the main reason I didn't want Jones to have to learn 3 schemes in 3 years. The offense undeniably has struggled. Some of that has to do, no doubt about it, with the inexperienced offensive line, with the fact that Saquon Barkley went down. But the fact that our quarterback only has 9 touchdowns, that's alarming. And the offense has definitely regressed this year. Some of it due to injury, some of it having just to do with having to learn a new scheme, and some of it having to do with not a normal offseason, a lot of change. But some of that definitely has to fall on Jason Garrett. Now, whether or not Jason Garrett will be fired, that remains to be seen. If you take these quotes for what you will, it sounds like Judge is very happy with the overall. He didn't get into individuals in terms of the coaching staff, but Garrett, when pressed upon it, kind of was a little hands-off. He could have easily come out and said, I would love to be back. I really like working here. He said none of that, and it was interpreted that way all over Twitter, but I wanted to pull up the exact quote from Jason Garrett. This from Ralph Acciano. The other was from GiantsWire.com. Asked if he expects to be back with the Giants next season, offensive coordinator Jason Garrett said, I'm just excited about the opportunity we have this week. Really, I've just tried to stay in the moment. That's typically when you play your best and coach your best. That's what I'm focused on. And you may not read into that at all. And I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. He may just be saying what the politically correct thing is to say, but he could have done what Judge did. Judge went above and beyond to compliment people, to compliment Gettleman and everybody else. And he could have easily said, I really like working here. I can't wait to be back. He didn't answer it that way. He just said, I'm focused on this week, and obviously there's a big game for him. He's going up against his former team, the Dallas Cowboys, the Giants. They got the playoffs on the line, and maybe he doesn't want to talk about next year. But it is my belief that it is at least a pretty strong possibility that he may get a job somewhere else. You got to remember, this guy's a former head coach with the Dallas Cowboys for 10 years, and everybody's thinking NFL. He could take a head coaching gig in college if he really wants to be a head coach again. May not like working under Judge. He obviously fired his guy, Colombo. We don't know the relationship that they have. We're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. I think we all agree that he was probably a Mara-influenced hire. He's the only guy that didn't have a connection to Judge. Would I be upset if he came back? Absolutely not. I'm going to leave this decision, much like Gettleman, up to the discretion of Joe Judge. He's the guy I want to be most comfortable because he's the guy that's going to be here the longest. Even the biggest pro Gettleman guy, I think you got to realize he's not going to be here for that much longer. The guy's almost 70 years old. The guy that we're hoping is going to be here for the next 15 years, and we hope we build this team, for properly, is Joe Judge. And, of course, Daniel Jones, if it all works out at the quarterback position. And you got to you got to make him as comfortable as you can. And if he feels like Garrett is not getting the most out of Daniel Jones, and he has come out and said that he believes in Daniel Jones, you got to give him that freedom. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Of course, if it does happen, it will definitely be a learning curve for the first 3 or 4 weeks. At least he'll have a preseason to work out all the kinks. But kind of just want to get a video up talking about the quotes that came out today and wish you guys a happy new year and just say thank you for everything that you do for my channel. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.